Hello, I'm Simulated Erk and welcome to Simulated Erk Flashing Lights. This is the very first episode recorded on the day of initial release. And as you can see from the introduction right now, things are pretty wild in that fire truck as I get sideways and crash into some parked cars. You can find me in a lot more games at simulatedgaming.com. Anywho, this is day one. This is a early release game that is available via Steam and is very much, I would say, in the early stages of early access and also an alpha slash pre-alpha version. So this is very much a work in progress, a game under development, and not necessarily a game that if you like your games to be working and fully featured and that's the way you like games, well, this game isn't necessarily for you. But I've been following this project since I saw videos from First 30 Minutes, who was one of the about 3 different people whose videos that I started watching before I started making my own. So I was following along and I've seen that there's a lot of improvements. Now, as I said at simulatedgaming.com, there's a video called State of Emergency June 2018 where I talk more about games such as this, such as Flashing Lights, and what other games are out there in the emergency roleplay spectrum. Now, the obvious comparison that you could make, that you should make, and that would be fair to make, would be between this game and Emerge NYC. It wouldn't be fair to compare this game, say, to LSPDFR or Los Santos Fire Rescue, because those two games, or those two mods of Grand Theft Auto 5, they have a lot of the environment from GTA 5, so they've, for the uninitiated, basically hacked into, for the lack of a better word, into the GTA 5 universe. So their environment that they have to work with is a lot more detailed than this Flashing Lights and Emerge NYC that have basically built this from the ground up. Now, at the time of this release, which is early June 2018, Flashing Lights and Emerge NYC are basically at the similar point of introduction. They're both early access, they're both probably pre-alpha at best, and what we'll look at today, we'll take the fire truck for a spin around the town. As you've already seen a little bit, I've already lost 11 reputation points because I sideswiped some cars. But this fire truck on the first day of release is pretty sweet, and I am using my controller, which is something that I can't do yet to my knowledge in Emerge NYC. There's going to be lots of comparisons between Emerge NYC and also this game, but thumbs up to both sets of creators because they've got small development teams, they're independent, they've had to start basically from scratch, and so I think the comparisons between those are valid. Now, the aim of both games is for you to be able to play as a member of the 3 emergency services. Now, I'm Australian, just in case you don't know, so while I'm familiar with the American model, that's not necessarily how it's done here, but police, fire, medical, in both games you will be able to play as those 3 services. In this game, Flashing Lights, you can do it from day 1. In Emerge NYC, at the moment, just the fire side. So there are some good things about both games, and if you want to have a look at the Emerge NYC videos via simulatedgaming.com, you can. But the interesting thing about this one is that on the first day of release, you can play as a fireman, albeit in a limited way with a limited number of calls, and you can drive the truck using the controller. Police and medical, I'll just use that term, police and medical, you can do exactly the same thing. Whereas in Emerge NYC, you can only play at fire at this stage. But having said that, reading the Discord for both of those channels, some people need to be a little bit realistic with where these games are up to and what people are asking for. Like at the moment, okay, yes, in both games we have models of all three services. In this game, all three services are working. Emerge NYC, only fire is working at this stage. So I'm sure the games will develop, and both games, from what my initial first videos that I saw on them, have increased and improved a lot already, and let's let the developers do what they've planned. Let's not throw in helicopters, let's not throw in sea rescues. What was one I saw today? Voice comms, voice CAD, vocal dispatch, those sort of things. Let's let the developers go on their task. As we'll drive around town, there's fairly obviously a lot of places that are still to be developed. Some of these buildings, etc., are obviously placeholders, and the environment will become more developed as the games go on. As I mentioned earlier before, both developers, they don't have the luxury of a GTA 5 environment that's already pre-made for them. So let's get out of the truck and meet our fireman. If I push the right button, there we go. He's our fireman, and I've gone for pretty much what my standard used to be in the Metropolitan Fire Service nearest me, where they basically wear this type of uniform, but they've gone and changed colours. So here's our fireman, and yes, you can only be a fireman at this stage. And I am playing single player, so there's no multiplayer element. But the cool thing about it, or one of the cool things about this truck, and I'm exploring this truck with you for the first time, one thing I did notice, if you have a look at the back, on the license plate there, under the license plate, 10 truck, it says player 5. Now, I don't know if there's a future plan for that to be changed, or whatever your username is or whatever, but the fact that it's there in the first place is pretty sweet. So let's have a look. We'll explore the truck together, and then we'll go out and have a look around. We'll go out and have a look around town. Now, of course, if you're playing this game, or if you want to play this game, what you use as your control methods may vary, and the setup for controller, keyboard and mouse when you first play the game is very good, I've got to say. So we can open the door by left clicking, and yes, the menu does pop-ups, and then press the left mouse again for our fireman Sam, if you like, for him, hopefully, yes, to get in the seat. So he's now in the seat. Now, underneath the truck, at the bottom of the screen, you'll notice a very handy display which indicates the status of various things. The fact that even though I can't hear any engine noise, the engine is on because I haven't turned it off from when I was just in it. That's green, so the ignition is running even though you can't hear any idling noise. And I presume a little bit later on there may be something to do with the fuel levels as well. Okay, so that's a mapping issue I have to sort out with indicators, but that's okay. That's something I can sort out later. Get back in the truck. Back in the truck. There we go. My left-hand indicator's on. You can see that on the screen down the bottom. I have to remap the right-hand indicator so you can see that the indicator is on the left-hand side, and down the bottom of the screen you can see that as well. So the way that I've mapped, and I haven't seen a guide of, oh, here's a good way to map your controller, because some of it comes down to personal preference, I guess. How I've done the lights and sirens. If I press my left stick button, emergency lights only, so you can see them there at the back, and as I move the mouse around for the camera you can see them at the front there too. Pretty sweet. And you can see Fireman Sam. Fireman Sam's in there in the driver's seat in the front, and then if we go around with the lighting, one side at the moment is definitely better than the other at this stage. Now, so if I press the, and you can see the emergency lights icon down the bottom in blue near the speedo. So if I press the left stick button again, they'll turn off. And yes, I should turn off that left-hand indicator. Now if I just want to turn on the lights again, left-hand button, left stick button, and if I want some noise to go with the lights, right stick button. And a siren. Now I've heard some people say, oh, we want customized sirens, we want customized trucks, blah 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 blah. As I said earlier, let the developers do their jobs and go on their timetable, and a little bit further down the track, when there's some more trucks and things like that, you know, people talking about reskinning an alpha game on day one of pre-release, I think is a little bit unrealistic. And there's a nice overhead view of the buttons and the lights and the sirens, so we'll turn that off. And now we'll turn the lights off. And it looks pretty sweet. So you can leave the lights on if you want, or turn them off. So let's get out of the truck, and you will go for a little bit of a walk. And again, as I said, how you map this is up to you. You can get in the back, and you can see old mate is now in the back seat. So we'll get him out. I need to map a different button for the guy to leave the cab. Close the. Hang on. Close the. I want to close the door. Left click and left click. If you are going to play Emerge NYC and also this game, I do suggest that if you can, map your controllers and your mouse and your keyboard to the same thing if you can, because otherwise, like I've already had a few times, you are going to get yourself confused. Alright, let's have a look in the lockers now. This is the first time that I'm actually doing this myself, so I don't know exactly what's in there yet. And being an Australian, I don't necessarily know what fire departments in America put in their various compartments where. A lot of there's not a lot of standardisation across many things in America. Well, even the fire services that I've been involved in here, sometimes there's not a lot of standardisation. So let's have a look in the trunk. Okay, so you've got fire gear, rescue gear, and additional gear. Let me see, I think I might have to arrow, yep. Enter. So in the trunk I've got a fire extinguisher and a water hose, but at the moment I don't have a hose to the engine. Okay, so we can go and attach the fire hose to a fire hydrant. Let's see if we can find a hydrant. Well, there's one over there. See if I can find one a little bit closer. Yep, there's one there. Okay, so we'll go and try and attach this hose to the hydrant, and let's just see what happens. Now, from this point on, I'm doing all this for the first time. So, go to the hydrant. Okay. Now, some of these things I obviously don't know how to do yet, and so that will come across with practice. But I wanted to get this video out today on the day of release. So, can I? Hang on, something just popped up, and I don't know what it was. Oh, hang on, I'm attached. Okay, let's see. How long is this hose? Oh, it's a mystery hose. It just keeps on. It just keeps on keeping on. Let's see how long we can stretch this hose for. So far, this is how far we've stretched it. Now it looks like it's got a nozzle on there already. See how far we can stretch this hose. And we'll see how our AI cars cope with fire hose. Oh, that guy out there seems to be coping, and we'll see how far we can walk. I'm not going to walk all day, obviously, but we'll see how far I can go with this mystery fire hose that just keeps on giving. That's an amazing amount of fire hose for what basically just looked like one length of hose. So if I... Okay, we'll just go to the next block just to prove my point. Okay, that's the next block. Okay, so we'll walk back now, and the hose will continue to grow. Now, I'm not necessarily expecting a game like this to be 100% authentic anyway, but as long as it's sort of believable, well, you know, you get the general idea. These cars don't seem to be having any problems driving over the fire hose. Now we'll see if there's an easy way. What have I mapped? Let's see, settings. With these menus you got to use your keyboard. What have I mapped for? This is the screen for the This is your control screen, by the way. Character. Okay, I don't understand a lot of things about weapons and etc. at the moment, and aiming and reloading and pardon me. So let's continue walking back, and we'll see if there's an easy way to return all this hose. I don't know if I'm going to get water out of that at the moment. That's the thing, because something's there at the moment doesn't necessarily mean that it will work. But the actual animation of the hose doesn't appear to be too bad. So, oh, hang on. We have water. Oh, yeah. So the way I've got it configured at the moment, hang on to one. Yeah, I need both buttons pressed. We'll wet old mate over here. So he's looks like he's pretty hot. He's been walking around the city all morning. So we have water out of the hydrant. Is that what they do at airports? The first time that they welcome an airplane or something, they get the truck out and they spray water everywhere. So let's see if I can. Now this is going to be awkward. The way I've got it mapped at the moment to walk and to spray water. Oh, well, it's doable. Might have to adjust some of the mapping, but you can. So you can walk. I need about 5 pairs of hands at the moment, but you can walk and spray water at the same time. Okay, well there you go. So you can use the fire hose. Now, how am I going to get the fire hose back into the truck? That's a very good question. As I said, I'm learning as I'm doing all this. So we'll see if I can get a side-on view of me, maybe not, welcoming this fire truck. The truck a bit of a wash. Okay, that's interesting to know. So if we go back to the trunk, okay, so in the fire section we have a water hose. We discovered that we've got a fire extinguisher. So if we can, oops, go for a walk, hang on, fire extinguisher. So that bit still needs a keyboard. Let's go for, so same control method to use the fire extinguisher. See if I can, yeah, let's walk away from the truck a little bit, there you go. So there I am, spraying fire extinguisher fluid everywhere. So there we go, that works. So we know that the hose works, we know the fire extinguisher works, we know that at the moment the water between the truck and the hydrant, hose to engine, isn't available yet. We know that now. In the rescue, what have we got? We've got spreaders, medic bag now, and later on ladders and axes. So the spreaders, oh yeah. Should we go and practice on a random car? We're going to lose reputation points for that. Oh, hang on, let's do that car over there. It's blocking a fire hydrant. You, sir, are blocking a fire hydrant, and I'm not police yet, so I can't do that. Alright, let's... Whoops. Well, I activated the car alarm. That's one thing. Alright. How do I get the spreaders to work? Is a very good question. There's no tutorial that I know of. Emerge NYC, at least you have the academy to practice at, but there's no actual tutorial there either. It's a lot of trial and error, watching other videos, seeing what they do. I don't know at the moment, because I'm trying to use the same method to work the spreader that I did to use the fire extinguisher and the hose by pressing both mouse buttons. But at the moment, and some of this is just further reading, that car, you're very lucky that A, I'm not a policeman, and B, that the spreaders don't work, otherwise, yeah. So let's go back to the truck. There is a bit of a hill there. So you can see there's a lot of blank spaces for some more buildings at this stage. Who knows, they could possibly tear all the buildings down and put new ones up. Okay, so we're back at the truck. Can we put the spreaders? Yeah, the spreaders disappear. Okay, rescue. We'll have a look at the medic bag. Probably nothing I could really do with that at the moment because I'm not on a call. By the way, I should mention I haven't got the radio on because I want to have a drive around town and check out the truck. You can silence the radio by using F3. Additional. Oh, traffic cones. Okay, interesting. Enter. Additional traffic cones. And I put them out. Additional traffic cones. Obviously, seemingly not at this point. Okay, let's have a look, see where else we can open. Get away from the truck. So these fire trucks and Emergent NYC has the same problem. These things aren't easy to map. These fire trucks aren't easy to map. So we've got one access point there indicated by the diamond. Now in time to come there could be some more things in other cabinets that we don't know about yet. There's nothing at the back seemingly yet that we can access. What was that animation? Is he doing some shadow boxing? Dude, what's going on? You're not playing NYPD in a hockey game, you know. What's going on? Dude, you gotta calm down. Okay, let's have a look on this side. Have we got anything we can access yet? Seemingly not. Of course, some of this is just gonna come down to me reading, me trying things, and watching other videos and that sort of thing. Because that's often how I learn things about these games, by watch, and how I often buy games. Left click. Don't particularly want to get in there. Alright, let's get in the truck. Get in the truck. There we go. Get in the truck. Get in the truck. Get in the truck. Dude. Okay, get in the truck. You're in the truck now. The engine's still on because I haven't turned it off. Now, the default shortcut to turn on the engine is K. I don't know why it is K. In Imagine NYC, for instance, the default is I for ignition, and so I've changed that so it's the same in both games. So let's go for a drive around Anytown, USA, which is where this is. Oh, we've got an accident there. So if you want to go to these buildings here, be very, I think it's those buildings. Oh, it's the buildings on the other side of town. You have to be very, very careful because you can get yourself caught. Let's not leave town yet. Let's go for a drive around town. I want to show you the individual stations. Now I'm just going to drive around normally. So there's a few buildings in. You know what the speed limit is, Mia? Actually, no, I don't. What are that speed signs over there? 40 miles an hour? I don't know yet. You know, there's a few buildings around, a few cars around. I presume in time all that'll change. Let's just go. Not going to lose any reputation points for running red lights, are we? Alright, we're just around the corner from the police station. The map down at the bottom is fantastic. It reminds me a lot of the GTA map in the way it's laid out, but it's very, very good for what is a day of release, early access, pre-alpha. It's pretty sweet. So if we park here, okay, there is the police station, and we'll have a look further inside of that when we do our first police episode. But that is the police station. There's a little disappointed that there's not actually just a police car around. Like if you drive, and we'll just do it for the hell of it, I've already done it, but if you drive around here as a firefighter, there's not a police car to be found, and I haven't seen one actually in the game yet, just cruising around, which is interesting. I thought I would have seen at least one just to be hanging around at least. to say, oh yeah, that's what the police car in this game looks like. Okay, so that's that. Now if we go to the right, we'll go behind White Van Man here. If I go around the corner, there should be the fire station. Although I haven't actually seen said fire station yet. I've seen land where it indicates the fire station on the map. See, there's a whole heap of land to the right, and then these buildings coming up on the right, but I don't know if that's intended to be the fire station or not. It certainly looks like it. But there's nothing on that building to indicate. Now, no, there's cars blocking the driveway, because of course there is. There's nothing there that I can see that indicates that that is where the fire station actually is. That when you first get into the game as fire, in that blank territory over there is basically where you pick your fire truck up from. So that's probably a thing that'll be coming soon to a flashing lights game near you. Now, I haven't driven any of the other vehicles yet, but I have seen on some other streams that... Whoops! Did I lose reputation points? No, I didn't, interestingly. Maybe because I had my lights and sirens on. Let's just try something. Lights on, sirens on. If I just crash into this car here... Yeah, I lost reputation points. Now, if I'm not running lights and sirens... Ow! I flipped it! No lights, no sirens. No reputation points lost. Interesting to know. And that other car just goes past like there's no tomorrow. So, we'll go around this boy. Now yeah, as I was saying, I have seen in other videos that some other people have said that the fire truck out of the three vehicles is the most realistic to drive. It looks big, it feels heavy. You know, there's narrow streets, turn right. So you really got to fight to control the truck and, you know, get around parked cars and all of that sort of thing. So it feels fairly realistic compared to what a big truck would be like. So if we go around to the left, and on the left hand side coming up is the hospital. Now we're about to turn into, if I remember to turn, into the ambulance ramp. And we'll go into the hospital as much as we can when I do the ambulance side of things. But the actual hospital is there. We'll go around to the other side where it actually does say hospital. Was it this side? Oh yeah, there we go. So that's where the hospital is. Interestingly, now if it was just me, considering as well that there may be buildings on this side, and yeah, that's clearly an entrance to the hospital, sure. But personally what I'd do is you've built an ambulance ramp, have a hospital sign have a hospital sign somewhere there on that side to indicate, yeah, that's where the hospital is if you're coming that way. Of course, you'll get to know it as the hospital, and maybe a sign on that side, a sign on either side, who knows, but you know, maybe it's in the to-do list, but that was just one thing that I saw just then. So that's our free services. So I'll just have a bit of a drive around the city at the moment. There's not much going on in terms of traffic, and of course, as I mentioned earlier, I've turned off the radio for the moment, just while I have a look around at the truck and have a drive around town and that sort of thing. But one of the things, like the handling of this truck, realistically is pretty good for what it is, day one, and that sort of thing. You know, it's a big truck, it's a heavy truck, it looks heavy, it's supposed to be heavy, and it's supposed to be difficult to manoeuvre, and they've done that. And the good thing, as I mentioned earlier, I am driving it with my controller. There is nothing worse for me to drive around a vehicle with a keyboard. So you can see various buildings in various stages of development, and you know, you've got functioning traffic lights, which is cool, and walk signals, and you've got fire hydrants around the place. And what? You lose a reputation point for hitting a sign. Okay, interesting. I'm minus 17 reputation points so far. So you can lose a reputation point by hitting a sign, but you don't lose one by hitting a car unless you're going lights and sirens. Okay. So in future videos we'll go and do, there's a couple of different fire calls that you can do, and I will go ahead and do those in a future video. But I just thought, and we'll also go out into places outside the city, and we'll have a drive around there as well, and drive the ambulance and drive the police car. There's only one police car, one ambulance and one fire truck that you can drive at this stage, but overall, especially compared to some of the first videos that I saw, this is a solid base. This is a solid base to start from. It is on Steam. There is a discount at the moment for the first week of early access, and of course there's Steam sales and everything going on apart from that. But there are plans, of course, for more buildings, there are plans for more callouts and things like that, more vehicles, etc. But if you are watching this, and if you're watching this, please be realistic with the developers and the progress. Let's build on what they've got so far, and you know, there's one thing to have, oh, there is a hospital sign on that side. So there's a couple of different hospital signs, that's interesting. Should take a screen cap there. It looks like it says hospital on top of the ladder. The way I've got the truck positioned, it looks like it says hospital on top of the ladder. That's funny. So let's be a little bit realistic with the developers. Let's encourage them. If there's problems, and there's going to be problems, there's no doubt. There's no doubt about it. There's going to be problems. You know, let them know respectfully that, you know, that there's problems, that it may be something that they're very much aware of. That may be a case of, they know that there's a problem but they haven't got to that yet. That's not on the list. You could be the first person to find that problem, that sort of thing. Or it just could be a case of, okay, you're the first one to have the issue, or it's a known bug, or there could be, like for instance with the spreaders as an example. That's probably just because I don't know how to use them yet, and I might not have necessarily mapped everything properly. I might not have mapped everything properly yet, and I get to know how to use the game a little bit better. This is the day of release, and yes, so an encouraging start. And I do have to say, I do like the fact that on day one I can drive as a member of all three services with my controller, and should I choose to do so, I can take jobs. If I just want to drive around like I am at the moment, I can do that as well. So you have been watching Simulated Earth Flashing Lights. This has been episode number 1. There's lots more gaming that you can find, including things like Emerge NYC, things like LSPDFR. I haven't managed to get Los Santos Rescue Division working yet. I was hoping to have an episode out of that too, but a good thing about Flashing Lights, first day of release, and I've been able to load up the game. I don't need to go and grab a cup of coffee before it loads. There's no signs that basically say don't do anything else to your computer or otherwise it might explode. Okay, that's a little bit of an exaggeration. But it loaded first time. I managed to set up my controller pretty good for the first time. I know there's a couple of key bindings that I need to work on, but you get that. And there's probably a little bit more reading and watching and learning that I need to do. But overall, for a day 1 early release alpha, still under development, thumbs up. And I'm looking forward to seeing improvements as things go on down the track, but as I said before, be realistic. Anywho, that has been Simulated Earth Flashing Lights episode 1. I look forward to your company next time, where we'll take the ambulance out for a spin and we'll try that, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. SimulatedErkGaming.com.